Bryophytes are also called amphibians of the plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for their sexual reproduction. Hello everyone, this is Ankita Biswas, your bioeducator, and today's class is all about bryophytes. Now before jump into this video, make sure you subscribe our channel Bioholic and press the bell icon to get further notifications of our upcoming videos. And after watching the full video, make sure you check the description box below because there is a link of today's self-assessment test. Now let's begin. So this term bryophytes comes from two Greek words. One is bryon, which means moist, another one is phyton, which means plant. Now these bryophytes are non-vascular terrestrial plants of moist habitats in which a multicellular diploid sporophyte lives as a parasite on an independent multicellular haploid gametophyte that develops multicellular jacketed sex organs. And these plants are small and their roots are absent. Instead of their roots, they have rhizoids. And their accessory spores are also not formed. So their sex organs are multicellular and jacketed, meaning they are covered by sterile cells. Okay? And now let's talk about their general characteristics. So the bryophytes include the various mosses and liverworts that are found commonly growing in the moist shaded areas or in the damp areas or in the hill areas. Okay, and they play an important role in the plant succession on bare rocks or soil. Now the plant body of bryophytes is more differentiated than that of the algae. Okay, now it is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by their unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. Okay, now they lack true roots, stems or leaves, so they may possess root-like or leaf-like or stem-like structures. Now if I talk about the life cycle of bryophytes, then the main plant body of the bryophyte is haploid. Okay, now it produces gametes, hence it is called as gametophyte, and the sex organs in the bryophytes are multicellular. Now the male sex organ is called as antheridium and they produce biflagellate antherozoids, and the female sex organ is called as archegonium, which is flask shaped and produces a single egg. Okay, now the antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with the archegonium, and our antherozoid then fuses with the egg to produce the zygote. Then the zygotes do not undergo reduction, division or the meiosis immediately. Okay, they produce a multicellular body which is known as sporophyte. Okay, now this sporophyte is not free living but they attach to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. Okay, now some cells of the sporophyte undergo the reduction division, which is meiosis, to produce the haploid spores, and these spores germinate to produce the gametophyte. Okay, now the life cycle of the bryophytes consists two distinct phases. One is the gametophytic phase and the other one is sporophytic phase. Okay, now the haploid gametophyte is dominant, long-lived, green and independent, whereas the diploid sporophyte is short-lived and dependent upon the gametophyte. Okay, now these two phases are morphologically distinct and the gametophytes are either thalloid, meaning They are not differentiated into true roots, true stem and true leaves, or they may be leafy shoot which having stem-like central axis and leaf-like appendages. Fine. Now, their vascular tissue like the xylem and phloem are absent. So, the bryophytes are fundamentally terrestrial plants but require presence of water to complete their life cycle. Okay? And this water is needed for the dehiscence of antheridia, liberation of the antherozoids, transfer of the antherozoids from the antheridia to archegonia, opening of the archegonial neck, and the movement of antherozoids into the archegonial neck. Okay? So now we can classify the bryophytes into two parts. One is the liverworts and the other one is moss. So at first, the liverworts. So the liverworts grow usually in the moist or shady habitats like the banks of streams or the marshy ground, etc. Now the plant body of the liverwort is thalloid. Like the thallus is dorsoventral and closely appraised to the substrate. And asexual reproduction in liverworts takes place by fragmentation of the thalli or by the formation of specialized structures which is known as gemmi. Now the gemmi are green multicellular asexual buds which develop in small receptacles which is known as gyma cups which located on the thalli. So the gyma become detached from the parent body and germinate to form new individuals. And during the sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced either on the same or on the different thalli. Now the sporophyte is differentiated into a foot, seta and capsule, and after meiosis, spores are produced within the capsule and these spores germinate to form the free living gametophytes. Okay? Next is the mosses. So, the predominant stage of the life cycle of a moss is gametophyte, which consists two different stages. Now the first stage is the protonema stage, which develops directly from the spore, and it is a creeping, green, branched and frequently filamentous stage. Okay. Next, the second phase is the leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. Okay, and they consist of upright, slender axes bearing the spirally arranged leaves, and they are attached to the soil through the multicellular and branched rhizoids, and this stage bears the sex organs. Okay, now the vegetative reproduction in mosses is done by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. And in case of sexual reproduction, the sex organs, antheridia and the archegonia are produced at the apex of the leafy shoots. Okay? And after the fertilization, the zygotes develops into sporophyte consisting of a foot, seta and capsule. Now the sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate than that of the liverworts, and the capsule contains spores, and spores are formed after the meiosis, and the mosses have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal. Okay. Next we will talk about the fernaria. So the fernaria is also known as the green moss, cord moss or common moss. Okay. Now the plant body of the fernaria is gametophyte, and it is of two types, like the juvenile form or the creeping protonema and the adult form or the leafy gametophore. Okay. Now the protonema is branched filamentous portion which is produced by the germination of their spores, And the Funaria reproduce by both vegetative reproduction and sexual reproduction. So in case of vegetative reproduction, it takes place by the fragmentation. Okay? And in case of sexual reproduction, the Funaria plants are monoecious and autoecious, meaning the male and female reproductive organs are produced on the same plant but on the different branches. Okay? Now, there are two generations in the life cycle of the Funaria. That is the gametophytic generation, which is independent and complex, and the second one is the sporophytic generation, which is partially dependent upon the gametophytic generation. Okay, now these two generations follow each other in regular sequence, and this is called the heteromorphic or heterologous alternations of the generations. Next is the Rhexia. So the main plant body of Rhexia is gametophytic, which is small, green, flat and fleshy. Okay. Now the thallus is dorsoventral and dichotomously branched, and the thalli are present in the form of the patches, which are known as rosettes, and scales are found on the margins, while the rhizoids are present in the mid-rib region of the thallus. And these rhizoids are unicellular and unbranched, which are of two types. One is the smooth rhizoids and tuberculate rhizoids, and these rhizoids helps in fixation. Okay. Now the Rhexia also reproduces by both vegetative reproduction and sexual reproduction, and most of the species are monoecious or homothallic, which means male and female sex organs are present on the same thallus. Okay, and a few species are dioecious or heterothallic, meaning the Antheridia or Archegonia are present on the different thalli. Okay. Now finally, the economic importance of bryophytes. So at first, the prevention of soil erosion. So bryophytes, especially the mosses, form the dense mats over the soil and prevent the soil erosion by falling rains. Okay. Now formation of soil. So mosses are an important link in the plant succession on the rocky areas. They take part in this building of soil in rocks by formed lichens. Okay. Now the water retention. So dry sphagnum has greater water absorbing capacity, so they help in water retention. Next one is peat. So sphagnum, in case of peat, often grows in acidic marshes, and the older dead parts of the moss and other marshy plants got slowly carbonized, okay, then compressed and then fossilized over the thousands of years and have produced a dark spongy mass which is known as peat. And this peat is dried, compressed and cut to form blocks, and these peat blocks are used as fuel. Okay. Next is in rocky and icy cold areas, mosses are a good source of food for certain animals like birds. So that's all for today. Now, if you have any questions or doubts related to today's lecture, then ask me in the comment section below. And if you want to do your self-assessment test, then go and visit the link in the description box below. And if you find this video helpful, then give it a big thumbs up and share it with others. And if you are new here, then hi, myself Ankita Biswas. Please subscribe to our channel Bioholic and press the bell icon to get further notifications of our upcoming videos. So, thanks for watching, and till then, keep watching Bioholic.